So I'm here in the town of Hospital de Orbigo, which was established by the Romans and has been a part of the route on the Camino ever since. And this bridge, which dates back to the medieval period, is the site of one of my favorite stories from the pilgrimage history so far. So the year was 1434, and there was a knight from Lyon by the name of Suero de Quinones. And he was unhappy in love because the woman that he had set his heart on had rejected him. And so, in knightly fashion, he wore an iron ring around his neck as a public display of the fact that he felt himself bound to her, even though she had rejected him. Apparently, she was unmoved by this public gesture. And so, Sir Suero de Quinones came up with a strategy to show her just exactly what kind of a man she was turning down. He approached King Juan II. Suero de Quinones asked the king for permission to host a tournament right here, or rather, in this copse of trees that you can see just off the bridge. He wanted to set up the lists for jousting and have this competitive tournament of combat right over here. With the king's permission, the king actually sent out a herald and Sir Suero de Quinones' challenge. He was offering for the best knights in Europe to meet him at this spot and challenge him to joust. They even had a life-size mannequin made and posted next to one of the pilgrimage road signs at this town, so that in July, which was the height of pilgrim traffic and also the time when they wanted to hold the tournament, as pilgrims came through this town on their way to Santiago, they wouldn't miss the helpful mannequin pointing the way to the spectacle that was about to unfold. The jousts began on July 11th, 1434, and they went on for nearly a month. Every day, knights in full armor rode against each other in the lists, and by night, there was dancing, there was singing, and there was merrymaking. You have to imagine hundreds of people here. Pennants flapping in the wind, the sound of horses, the sound of steel clanging on steel, and the music. It wasn't just the knights that came, but they came with their ladies and their retinues. And of course, there were pilgrims by the hundreds because July is peak season. So this goes on for nearly a month. And there are some incredible moments from this perhaps last great joust in European history. And one of them is Suero de Quinones riding out into the lists against a knight from Catalan, who had heard that Quinones was really quite a formidable fighter. And so the knight from Catalan rode in double layers of metal armor, which of course were very heavy and quite cumbersome to move in. And Suero de Quinones, playing to the crowd, rode out in extremely light armor covered by a light shirt, sort of to make it look like he was wearing basically nothing, and in this way mocking the caution of his opponent. And at one point, his opponent manages to actually knock Suero off the horse. And at this point, everyone gasps in horror because this could be a terrible injury. And Suero de Quinones jumps up from the ground and he says it was nothing, or perhaps he said it was merely a flesh wound, depending on who you listen to. By the end of the tournament, Suero de Quinones has broken 300 lances over a period of nearly 4 weeks. And so he takes off the iron collar that he's been wearing and he gives it to the judge of the lists as a sign that he no longer feels himself bound any longer to this lady. He then leads a procession back to Lyon and undertakes to become a pilgrim on the Camino de Santiago himself. He duly fulfills his vow, making his way to Santiago as a pilgrim, and when he reaches the cathedral in that city, he takes a golden bracelet with jewels in it and he donates it as a sign that he's been freed from the prison of love. That golden bracelet still resides in the cathedral, and I'm hoping to see it at the end of this pilgrimage journey.